get back to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much. This particular shape and put a hole on the top using a needle tool, making this beautiful set. To begin with, I measure out a slab of 0.6 centimeters in thickness, smoothen using a fettling knife, and cut out the shape using a diamond shaped cookie cutter. I smoothen this particular shape and put a hole on the top using a needle tool. I just use a scale to beat it down lightly in order to get the shape nice and crisp and even. It just helps me getting crisp edges, and that's why I use that method. I attach 3 stick beads at the base of the pendant. For the earrings, the slab thickness is 0.25 centimeters, and I repeat the same process. This is a slab of 0.6 centimeters in thickness, and using a diamond shaped cookie cutter, I cut out 10 such small pieces, and this is basically for the assembling part. Fired, got a beautiful nice terracotta color. I've laid out the paints, the brushes, although predominantly I would be using as well as the other set of elements that go as part of the necklace. The stick beads are going to be painted in antique gold. I paint the beads as well in black, all of them in black, in fact, all the 50 beads. Once again, if this method is not suitable for you, please just paint them individually using a brush. It's messy, I know, but it just gets the work done pretty quickly. I also paint the stick beads in antique gold. Once again, this is just the way I do it. If you are comfortable doing it without any kind of a guide, please go ahead and do that. I begin by actually practicing on a sheet of paper first, and this is the movement in which my brush and my wrist kind of moves. In fact, this is not a style which I do very often, so I felt more comfortable trying to practice a little bit on a sheet of paper before I actually started on the pendant and the earrings. All the brush movements basically in this entire piece is going to be vertical. None of them will go horizontal. So that is something that might be helpful to keep in mind, especially while doing a pattern like this. Go in that manner. That's how I'm using this particular paper as a guide. It's just a guide. I wouldn't even... My paints are diluted with a few drops of water, and that's what helps the paint also kind of flow in that manner. That's how I'm using this particular paper as a guide. It's just a guide. I wouldn't even call it a stencil really. It's just a guide, and below that marking is where I'm actually drawing this kind of a pattern. On the pendant, I'm going to be using again all the colors that I mentioned in the beginning. So this is obviously crimson, and I'm here with my liner brush. This is grey. I had to do about 2 coats for a nice coverage. And again, every time I went on with the coat, I continued to basically do it in the same direction, up-down motion, because I didn't want to go horizontal and change the style of maybe how this pattern typically is. I mean, if you have basically seen ikat, you would see that there is a flow in the pattern, mostly vertical or mostly horizontal. In whatever I've seen, it's mostly vertical. To me, it's a little stretched out. So that is why I thought vertical probably seems better. The painting process honestly feels a little bit, can begin to look a little messy, but believe me, once this portion, that's especially once you add the black, everything starts to change and starts to look much, much better. If you see, it's already starting to look like a piece of ikat cloth. I'm just exaggerating the lines on the tip just a little bit. Like I said, to me, when I see an ikat fabric, I feel that the designs are kind of stretched out. So that's why I'm just exaggerating the lines on the top, just extending it a little bit. And for all of this entire process, you must have seen me. You must have seen that I have not changed the direction at all in which I've painted. Doesn't this really look nice? I mean, to me, I was very happy with the result that this gave me, because midway I was getting a little worried about the especially when I put on the gold, I was getting a little worried about how the entire piece is going to turn out. But this really, I was very satisfied with this piece. In fact, I was very happy with this piece. So obviously we try and do the same things to the 10 beads on the sides. These are all going to be used for assembly. Again, I'm using this guide for the rectangular shaped bead. If you see, this is how I'm using the guide. Just to give me an approximation. I'm not going over the pencil just so that I can I'm not going over the paper just so that I can use that paper again, when I'm doing a piece like this in future. So if you see, I have all the three colors in, and now it's time to add some more to fill up the edges. Once that final touch of black is added, I think it makes a big, big difference to the piece, especially with those slightly elongated lines. There, that's it. It's a really small piece, so there is not much that you can, at least I couldn't, do anything beyond this. I think I filled it up pretty well. I repeat the same design on the stud as well. The black that I add to these pieces actually make, most. I mean, actually, it's something which probably stands good or probably holds good for most things, because once you add black, it almost acts like an outline for anything, even if you are painting, or this obviously applies even in terracotta jewelry. So it's obviously using a black and a maroon cotton. 5 of the beads on the left and 5 on the right. Number 4, I insert both of on the left, and as always, I'll get back to each and every.
ఫర్నిచర్ ఫేర్ మీ ఇంటిని లేదా ఆఫీస్ ని అందమైన ఫర్నిచర్ తో ఆకర్షణీయంగా మలుచుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నారా?
Welcome to each and every one of you. Today's video, I'm attaching again another small gear wire. The attaching process remains the same. Gear wire, crimp bead, crimp cover, and I'm putting in about 10 black beads in an alternate manner along with the gold metal beads. So overall, this set has basically used 50 beads. 25 obviously, on the left and 25 on the right. And for the studs, I've basically used E6000 as always. I let that dry for about 3 days and only then use it. So I really hoped all of you enjoyed watching this video. I am very happy with the way